Alright, so this is where we're going to talk about going back into Psalm 68:31. States envoys will come out, Baruch associated of Egypt. That's Nubia, Misraim, that's Cush, that's America, land of the Amorites. Ethiopia will quickly stretch out her hands to Yah, right? Or hasten to stretch out her hands, symbolizing voluntary submission and prayer. Isaiah 19:18-21. Prophecies that cities of Egypt will swear allegiance to Yahuwah of hosts and glorify him with praise and thanksgiving, obviously. Isaiah 45:14 describes Egypt's labor and Ethiopia's merchandise coming over with them, following in chains submission, acknowledging Yahuwah is with Israel. Funny thing is, Israel or Yasharel is the same people. It's Israel, land of the gods of the sun, children of the sun, Arawa. In context, these passages depict a future scenario where the former enemies or foreign powers of the region, Egypt and Cush, which is one of the same, recognize Yahuwah's power, bringing gifts, offering prayers, and submitting to his authority. This is us remembering who we are since 2018, so on and so forth. Hence the George Floyd psyop, and us waking up to who we are all on the earth. Is Israel a homeborn slave? Israel is my firstborn son, right? So let's say, is Israel a homeborn slave?
You want the light on? Alright.
You can leave it like that. It's cool. Appreciate you. Is Israel a homeborn slave? Jeremiah 2:14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? You know what I'm saying? The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they made his land waste. Okay. Israel is my firstborn son, right? That's Jeremiah 2:14. Just, showing you some spots to identify certain stuff, right? Israel is my firstborn son. Exodus 4:22, right? Yah instructs Moshe or Tahuti to tell Pharaoh to release the Israelites from slavery. Marine and Maritime Admiralty jurisdiction, which is Arabian slave trade and also Atlantic slave trade. These are all prisoners of war. Whether they say freedmen, so on and so forth, different people. And Yah's giving us our freedom through Jubilee, right? Through fasting, through prayer, through seeking him, through finding him, right? The birthright of the firstborn son. And they who are opposed to Yahuwah seek to take that away from his people. The MK Ultra, PSYOPs, so on and so forth, right? So Exodus 4 through 6. Go ahead and look at some of that. You know what I'm saying? Jeremiah 31:19. People keep talking about Eastern traditions, but this is the land of the West and the land of the East at the same time. You find that out in portions of the Oriental Book of Mystic Freemasonry, right? The land of Mu, so on and so forth. Baruch Yahuwah. Fuck, bro. I wish I had that shit still. I still do, but I don't feel like going through all that shit. Sorry, it's mental note on some certain stuff. By this your sins will be annulled. Israel was exiled from their land when the king of and the nations will know that the people of Israel went into exile for their sin, because they were unfaithful to me. So I hid my face from them and handed. That's why they feel like the Most High doesn't see, right? Israel was exiled from their land primary as divine judgment for persistent unfaithfulness, idolatry, and breaking their covenant with God. So the Treaty of U.S.-Morocco relations, remember, the Moors created the U.S. just like the Anglo-Saxons created the English language. That's why you have traces of Igbo, Ikuwu, Nigerian Yoruba, and Nahuatl among Torag and Arabic dialect, including Sumerian and Maya, so on and so forth. Maya and Nahuatl are really one and the same. In much of the tone or Ebonic tone, right? Ezekiel 39:22 through 29, right? In the day that Israel will realize that I am their Yah, right? That they're cool. Baruch Yahuwah, Baruch the cool, and nations will get the message that it was because of their sins Israel went to exile, right? So this is why about 10% were shipped to Portugal and to the Gold Coast, Africa. Not this out of Africa theory and Pan-African and Black Boule bullshit, right? That those who betrayed the Most High, that's where you get the Freemasons today or Illuminati today, of those who betrayed the Most High. This is where you get Esau and slaying the people of the covenant, the mutation of the white skin, the Albion skin, y'all go by race, a clone race, right? And there's brown skin clones too, but that is a genetic mutation, right? So you got two forms of mutants. You got the original S-Man, like Apocalypse, the Revelation, Israel, Egypt, or Nubia, Kush, right? Ethiopia, this is the same people. That's Maya, that's Asotak, that's Atlanti, that's Tartarian, that's Lumeria, that's Sumeria, the anointed Messiah, right? The children of Mary, Mu, children of Mu, Atlantis, Mu, Lumeria, Sumeria, Assyria, Ashur, you know what I'm saying? Henuped, Ishtar. This goes into Sarah. This goes into Saracens, the Saracens. Check out 432 the drop. Shout out to 432 the drop and Kurumeahu. You know what I'm saying? But you also get this system of the Illuminati system that you find in the book of Revelation 12 through 17 going on up, where they talk about a marine and maritime allergy jurisdiction. They're talking literally about what the Illuminati system does. You have to remember they came from the Arawa, right? The people of the Empire of the Sun. This goes into the Council of Ra, so on and so forth. Children of the Sun. Like, we have been taught to not embrace our heritage. We're not the Illuminati in that sense. We're illuminated. We're the first that was made last, and the last that was made first again. In your name. But through the Council, Icean Council, or the Jesuit order, the Esauian order, right? The order of Esau and Ishmael, which you also get modern day Judaism and Hebrew Israelite movements that have been well infiltrated in a lot of ways. This is where you get that shit from. That's why people be like, well, Christianity started with brown skinned people. Yeah, that's true, because it started with Esau. Esau was not an Albion. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't albinism. He was brown skin with red hair all over. There's brown skinned people with red hair. You know what I'm saying? People be called that's the negative old bloodline, this, that, and the third, and Baruch Yahuwah. There's haplogroups and subhaplogroups of everybody, and of those things too. Like when I was early studies of genetics, I found so many genetic groups. I'm talking about at least 13 different genetic bloodline groups, from hair colors to eyes, dealing with vitiligo, and then before total albinism, Baruch Yahuwah, you know what I'm saying, the mulatto. So it's like it's crazy. It's like deep melanated, 90%, let's say 90% carbon, right? Baruch Yahuwah. Shungai. Then you got goes down a little bit more until you got copper, Baruch Yahuwah. Then you got mulatto mix, you know what I'm saying? Then you got vitiligo. Then you got albinism. Shit's crazy. But you know what I'm saying, just like most hair colors of brown, you know what I'm saying, it's actually a red. You know what I'm saying? So you got blonde, you got silver, you got white, silver, blonde, cherry blonde, then you got carrot orange, and then you got brunettes and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. This shit deep, and people with straight gold hair. You know what I'm saying? When I was born, my hair looked like people from the Solomon Islands. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So 2 Kings 17:7 through 17 talks about Israel exiled because of sin, right? Now again, Jeremiah 29:11, learning the ways of the Spanish, which are deep melanated peoples, original. I can point some out here, you know what I'm saying, in places where I be at. Also, you go into I want to say, oh man, I'm gonna go into the book of Amos a little bit too, but it also talks about Ezekiel 39:22 through 29. The king of Assyria, right? Now this goes into Arabia, proper Arabs, Arabian people, which are also Aryan people, also Iranian people, right? Also goes into Orion constellation, children of the sun, so on and so forth. Also the Tuareg, also the Berber, or we say the Moor, you know what I'm saying? Also goes into the Igbo, Ikuwu, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of Nigerian Yoruba, because a lot of them, when you look at their traditional attire, they have the fez. You see what I'm saying? So it's like following the feathers. You find all the people of the feathers. Follow the people with the fezzes. You see the people with the fezzes, and you see all the relations. You see what I'm saying? Just like in the Bible where they're talking about angels and stuff, and all the feathered people. That's talking about us. You know what I'm saying? We are the land of the gods. That's why they call it American gods, right? Egypt, gods and monsters, like the movies and stuff like that. Wakanda, the X represents the Tau. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Chadwick Boseman was sending us a message. You know what I'm saying? Remember the Tau, the covenant of the Most High Yah, right? And in battling for the throne. That nigga, yeah, he worked for the CIA, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Killmonger had his representations of us and the people, stuff like that. So it's kind of like embracing, but see, the reality of it was they both fought against things. You see what I'm saying? They both had to fight in war regardless. You know what I'm saying? But they're not the way of the heathen. There can't be strangers in what we're doing anymore. You see what I'm saying? So there can't be any white people in the stuff that we're doing. And the stuff that we're doing, that's deep stuff, because they're meant to serve Israel. You see how that white dude, he got help, but he had to serve Wakanda. You see what I'm saying? That's the Lakota people. That's the Lakota people of Tamarindian, America, Turtle Island, Asia Major, Asia Superior. From the fake Hindus to the fake Peruvians, you know what I'm saying, to the fake Tibetans. That's all our stuff. You know what I'm saying? This Belize, all that. That's from Honduras to Barbados, the Arabians. So when they talk about Mesopotamia is here, not over there. Just like Baruch Yahuwah. When they say, let's say, the CIA created the land of Israel 1947 to 1948. On May 14, 1948, David Ben Gurion, the head of the Jewish agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. Right? On November 29, 1947, the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted a resolution for the establishment of the independent state, or Jewish state, of Palestine. So where's the real Palestinians, though? You see what I'm saying? And called upon the inhabitants of the country to take such steps as may be necessary on their part to put the plan in effect. You see what I'm saying? That was created. So when you have all these unorthodox or orthodox Jews trying to teach Ethiopians this and the third, and talking about, oh, this is the land, that's not our land, bro. The whole earth is ours, don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? But our homeland, the motherland, the land of Mary, the chosen mother, you know what I'm saying, of the chosen seed, the one that was visited by Huna Baruch Yahuwah, Huna Yahuwah. Intervene, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Baruch Yahuwah, Baruchu. You know what I'm saying? Baruchu. was Tamari land, Turtle Island, Atlanti. You know what I'm saying? Maya. You know what I'm saying? People have a lot of different things, but it's like you got to realize the same kind of people in their relations with each other. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who are related to each other, and a lot of people don't see that because they're not taught that. They don't go into the further ebonics, which is structures of language and tongues, which also goes into the phonetics, phonesis, the sound frequencies, so on and so forth. There's the structures of tonal differences and deeper evolutions or transmutations or transmutations or transmissions of etymologies, which is the studies of the origins of words, right? and that all has a system of governance in itself via a frequency, right? 432 hertz, 528 hertz, 639 hertz, 963 hertz, 400 4.783 hertz. No, 7.83 hertz. Shit, let me make sure I'm doing that right. I want to make sure I'm giving it accurate. Hello. I think it's 7.83. Schumann's resonance, 7.83 hertz. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And knowing what those resonances do, you know what I'm saying? Just like the solfeggio, right? Frequencies. You know what I'm saying? Some be like all 9. Well, there's 22 and some of solfeggio frequencies, and all that type stuff. You know what I'm saying? And knowing how to transmute the bioelectric field, or the biochemistry, right? The world tree, which also your spine and your central nervous system, activated and enhanced in the favor of Yahuwah and his people, right? An energetic alignment, the 7 Dragon Balls, the chakra system, so on and so forth. Baruch Yahuwah. It's one of those things where it's like you got what they call the magician card, right? Knowing how to transmute those energies and how to work with those energies in those chakras, right? The aura field, aura, arun, ara, wa, ara, wa. You know what I'm saying? You could say it makes it Sarah sons. You know what I'm saying? Saracens, Sarah sons, and Aaron. You know what I'm saying? And Kara. This is where you get the sons of Kura, Quran, the Quran. You see what I'm saying? And it's just, I would say, a mix of the Quran and what modern day Bible is what the modern day Talmud or Kabbalah has been mixed with. But to be the pyramid, to be the Kabbalah, to be the Markaba, right? To be the house, to be that tree, to be the sacred geometry, right? You have to get out of a space of fear, which they keep people in, which represents the sephnoid bone, right? Your body, right? You can study Colin Smith, right? Symbols of power. On YouTube, spelled with a C, right? Lifting the Veil is his YouTube channel, excuse me. And go over some of his videos, you know what I'm saying, of lifting the veil, right? He's got one on a lot of our stuff, you know what I'm saying? But especially to break down the Freemasonry, fear, trauma-based mind control programming, MK Ultra, so you're not operating as a total undetectable, total mind controlled Illuminati slave, not knowing in your subconscious, through synthetic dreams of voice of God patent and the voice to skull patents. You need to know these symbols because these are our symbols. You dig? So knowing these symbols is necessary for it's necessary for your growth. It's necessary for your healing. It's necessary for your consciousness awareness. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to talk spirituality, but you ain't living the reality. You know what I'm saying? Of the ritual reality. We do things ritualistically. That's religiously. We eat religiously. We eat fucking all the time. You see what I'm saying? But knowing how to do these things and how to operate in these things in a way that is uplifting and favorable and not being destructive is necessary to know, and be in motion with it. That's literally inertia. That's literally energy. So the scions of that, the psionics, you know what I'm saying, transmutation of that, is how you're going to be able to bring in healing, but flesh out the bad stuff. In other words, the Taurus field. I don't know why I heard triad, but Taurus field triad or Taurus field terraformation. You know what I'm saying? Cleansing the inside. It will also cleanse the outside. It's like aura. You know what I'm saying? The aura cleansing and so on and so forth. Because you can have all kind of rituals, but if you ain't getting the right knowledge and facing your fears and facing the lies and confusion and so on and so forth, you're only gonna go so far. You know what I'm saying? And my suggestion is stay with your genetic group. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to go to a pale skinned person to because that's not my tribes. This was a problem of learning not the ways of the heathens as well, because their blood and their DNA is totally different. We don't need any more hostility towards the Most High, Yahuwah, you know what I'm saying, or ourselves. We really don't. And there's no point of because of pleasure or desire. It may be because of pleasure or desire. It might be because of parasites. You know what I'm saying? It might even be because of genetic dispositions and mutations that some people are prone to doing that bullshit. But if I would think if you're gonna do proper Moor science, or chemistry, you know, the biology and the biochemistry, you know what I'm saying, on atomic and a cosmologic level, you know what I'm saying, anatomy, autonomy, levels and stuff like that, you're gonna have to really be in a whole different point of view. You know what I'm saying? And a point of view is also a place of instruction and a place to show a direction of showing people something. You know what I'm saying? And remembering the covenant of the Most High Yah, for one, keeping the Shabbat, 2 the 10 principles. The Most High Yah said thou shalt not murder. He didn't say thou shalt not just murder animals. I really don't think the Most High Yah is asking for people to give blood offerings of animals, people, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's totally contrary to what he's asking. I would think it's life and life for life, to give life. You know what I'm saying? Just like every nationality has this story of this Esau crystal. You know what I'm saying? This chrysalis fluid is supposed to be in your spinal fluid. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always like to do stuff that's pre-colonial, because then it's not all about that. You know what I'm saying? We're, as a people, Messiah, chosen to help heal each other. You know what I'm saying? Chosen to help bring the world into the truth, right knowledge. You know what I'm saying? That's what it means to be illuminated. They're illuminated by darkness, and there's a whole different symbol. That's a whole fucking different reality. That's why their minds are desperately wicked. They're always imagining vain things that are worthless, things that are not worth remembering. You know what I'm saying? Things that are literally bringing them destruction because of their covenants of death. That's why you have a system of debt and death. Dead men's oppressive faces on dead pieces of tree, which are supposed to be brothers and sisters, which also give life and bear fruit. Those are living creatures. You know what I'm saying? In your schools, they don't teach you that. They're not going to teach you that those are living creatures that literally praise the Most High Yah. You know You know what I'm saying? They wave, they sing, and they dance with their leaves, their branches. You know what I'm saying? You don't think that they cry out to the Most High God when the stones cry out. You know what I'm saying? People talking about stones and they just equate it with us, and it's like that's deeper. But y'all using technology that you don't even know where it really come from, and what it, that you can heal this, that, and the third, but you don't realize that you got all these crystal cities and stuff like that, but you don't even know how to use crystals the right way. You know what I'm saying? That's why when looking for knowledge, y'all can utilize the strangers to teach us knowledge. You know what I'm saying? But strange knowledge goes both ways. Strange because it's new enough familiar to you, or strange because that's motherfucking strange fire and that shit ain't right. You know what I'm saying? So it's having a discernment, and you have to have the Most High God. You can't have this Esau shit, because that's a trickster spirit. That's like Isu in a lot of African folklore. Baruch Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? And that shit is not helping. Isu, the trickster god. Isu, the central Yoruba trickster Orisha deity from West Africa, serving as the divine messenger, intermediary between gods and humanity, and guardian of crossroads. Don't that sound like that motherfucker? Isu, Esau, yo Zeus and Zeus and all that shit. He says he is not evil, but rather tests individuals, creating chaos or challenges to ensure accountability, free will, and spiritual growth. Baruch Yahuwah. Now, check this out. God hated Esau. Why do you feel like you need to create chaos and test him through chaos? Ain't that the same way these motherfucking Freemasonic weirdos? Stone builders, right? Stone builders. Who are the original stone builders? You gotta start with the mounds. All variations, so on and so forth. Then you go to the steps. You ain't just gonna get no 90 ass motherfucking degree angle out of nowhere. Why is it the step pyramids have every day of the year, 366, 365 day year, and 91 steps on each side, and directly in alignment with the star constellations from Pleiades to Baruch Yahuwah, to Orion, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, the phrase Yaakov I loved and Esau I hated, Malachi Baruch Yahuwah chapter 1, 2 to 3, and Romans 9:13 refers to God's sovereign choice of Israel, descendants of Jacob, from Edom, descendants of Esau, for the covenant promise, rather than personal hatred of the individual Esau. Hate here often implies loving less, rejection from the covenant, or divine judgment. And here's the question that needs to be asked. Well, why would Yah choose Yaakov over Esau? You know what I'm saying? What was it about Esau that was so wrong? Why would he want to choose Esau over him? You know what I'm saying? And then you go into that whole story of this, that, and the third. Y'all already knew what Esau was going to do. That's why he was chosen. Esau was rebellious and proud. Ishmael would be a wild man, right? He's not a child of promise. He's a wild man, a man of war. And Esau was rebellious and disrespectful towards his parents too. You know what I'm saying? So you also, he goes into the character, right? Esau's rebellion in the book of Jasher. Okay, so the book of Jasher, Esau's rebellion is characterized by a lifelong, deeply ingrained animosity towards Jacob and his descendants, often manifesting in violent acts rather than in a single organized political revolt. Right? Key moments in this rebellion include the murder of Nimrod, the selling of his birthright, and his attempt to kill Jacob upon his return from Haran. So then, okay, Baruch Yahuwah, let's go a little bit further, right? Baruch Yahuwah. The book of chapter 57. All right. So why did Yah reject Esau? I could see this is why he would hate him. Murder, revolting all the time, for what? You know what I'm saying? Jasher 58:28. Jasher, book of Jasher 90. Go read this stuff. Book of Jasher chapter 32. Esau's anger against him. Right? Now we're gonna keep going, cause it's necessary. Esau died preventing Jacob's burial.
See, I'm gonna ask him if I can just work on my bike in here.
You can have tools.
Not in here, but I have tools.
If they fix the tools, they probably want to use them out there.
Where's that car at?
Do you have screwdrivers?
I can use your restroom.
I gotta try to go. We're going to the thrift store right now. I'm trying to find me a screwdriver there. A little one, like a precision one.
No, I don't have one.
Cause I gotta fix my laptop. I'd like to get me one of those wireless soldering guns. That'd be nice.
The cause following Jacob's death and burial, Esau disputed the ownership of the cave of Machpelah, the burial site of the patriarchs. The conflict, Esau and his sons, along with a massive army, including the children of the east and Seir the Horite, rose up against Joseph and his brothers in battle to seize the inheritance and take revenge for the lost birthright. The battle, Joseph and his brother, along with the strong men of Egypt, fought Esau's army. The text indicates that Joseph's forces dealt a massive blow to Esau's forces, slaying hundreds of thousands of them, specifically mentioning the defeat of Eliphaz and the death of their king, Bela, the son of Beor. Esau's death, according to the book of Jasher, Esau was killed in this battle. The final blow, the text records that Dan's son, who was a deaf and dumb, approached Esau during the fight and cut his head off, fulfilling a specific chaotic end to the conflict. So when they say God loved Jacob and hated Esau primarily as a choice to fulfill his covenant promises, they didn't even give you the whole full story. They just said not necessarily as a personal emotional preference. Your emotions and your mahabba got everything to do when it comes to stuff like this in a lineage and heritage and what they call that legacy and all that shit. You going around killing motherfuckers and making oaths and shit, and motherfucking Jesuit extreme oath of induction and U.S. Morocco relations and motherfucking Papal Bulls, Dumb Diverses, Doctrine of Discovery, Dawes Rose Commission, Tignon laws, you know what I'm saying, the Trail of Tears and all this other stuff, U.S. Morocco relations, I think I said. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. What you think gonna come from that? You gotta make that shit make sense when that shit really don't make sense. Make sense? Because they don't elaborate on this stuff in these institutions. They don't. You know what I'm saying? Many of them they don't even know. But many of them who do know, it is deliberately suppressed. That's Psalm 83. All day. And it makes sense of Deuteronomy 28. You know what I'm saying? You find the whole out of Africa theory literally written in there and deliberately put in there. We're talking about coming into Egypt in droves. That's talking about something totally different, because the only people that came here on boats and droves was those who was trading, for one, which the Moors were heavily in that, and everybody else who was doing it, and the Irish was definitely shipped among here like crazy. This is where you get the rising of the Haitian, or the revolution of Haiti. You know what I'm saying? So it's more than what has been put out there. It's kind of like sitting a bunch of people in a circle and saying one thing, and by the time it get back to you, it's something totally different said. And then not to mention all the different versions of these Bibles and Qur'ans and so on and so forth. And there's a thing, it's PDF, it's called Codex Magica, and it tells you all the way from the 1611 version of the Bible, which they say is the most authoritative, or the most ancient, which it's not. The papal bulls go into that, because that's where Cortez, seeking El Dorado and all that stuff, Napoleon Bonaparte, the first and second, you know what I'm saying, King James, that nigga was a whole ass murderer, you know. This also goes into Noble Drew Ali and all his people and stuff like that, and them stealing a third, 3/4 of our wealth, you know what I'm saying, and through like millions, 300 millions worth of stuff. You can go past in past videos where it's like they make it to set it up to seem like the Moors are just so innocent, but there's a difference between being what they call Moor and Moor. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's a play on words to just kind of cause confusion sometimes. Like there's right, there's light, and there's ignorance in all of it, on all sides. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has the ability to be wicked as hell and just righteous. You know what I'm saying? That's why they say suffer not a witch to live, because witchcraft is a sign, is also is as rebellion. You know what I'm saying? Example, Saul consulted a witch, you know what I'm saying, to summon up or resurrect the prophet, right? Because he knew he was gonna die because of his behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like, that man knew what he was doing. That's why I was like, I look at a lot of people today, like there's all these so-called prophets, and they appoint themselves, and Yah has not appointed them as prophets. You know what I'm saying? They're not sages, they're not shamans, they're not those people, they're not the true gatekeepers. They put that upon themselves, which is a false mantle. For example, they have said, God has said this, and I have not said that. Warning against false claims, right? Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. You know what I'm saying? How are you gonna tell people to keep the commandments, but you're not even doing it, whether subconscious or not conscious? You know what I'm saying? That makes you a liar in the presence of Yah. So his judgment's already upon you on that, because you already breaking that ethereal law. That's high treason. So it says, Jeremiah 27:17-22 notes that people often falsely say the Lord has said, and you shall have peace to those walking in their own willful ways. It's not about those walking in their own willful ways. Everybody's got will. You know what I'm saying? It's about, are you walking in the truth of what has been set in order in place for us to be in position to be in motion in, or are you not? And that's the difference between right knowledge and suppressed knowledge that is programmed to teach you knowledge in a wrong way, or to do shit ass backwards. Long story short, right? So this is where they have taken things from the old writings, tablets, so on and so forth, scrolls, and so on and so forth. So, and they've perverted it on purpose. And this, you got to think about it. A stranger that doesn't know the Most High and doesn't know His Word isn't going to teach you, you know what I'm saying, to oppose the Most High and His people and show you every way that you can hurt them. It has to come from within. It takes a village, right? So Just like most people who get robbed, 99 whatever times, whatever, how the fuck you say that phrase, you get robbed, it's by somebody that you know. It had to been somebody that's in your house most times. You know what I'm saying? Not all the time, but most times that's how that shit goes. Motherfuckers set somebody up, it's by somebody they knew. You know what I'm saying? That shit just don't happen by happen chance all the time. Sometimes it do. Well, the authority of God's word is highlighted in Lamentations 3:37. Things only come to pass when Yahweh commands it, not when people say it on their own authority. Now I can agree with that, because for the last year I've been wanting to go home and do all kind of shit, and I've been speaking, crying. It ain't shit happen. You know. So some things we can do, we can cause to do, and some things is only for the Most High Yah to do. You know, but that shows the difference of power and authority, and it shows a place of order by design. You know, and these people who claim to be in power in the system today they're all liars. They have no real power or authority or real governance. They operate as a fictional government. You know what I'm saying? It's rules that have been remixed to fit their own liking and own desires to fulfill their own pleasures. Just like they put people in jail for murdering people, but these motherfuckers go start wars just for knowledge. These motherfuckers go start wars, and it be like, if you don't stand with Israel, then God's gonna curse you. But y'all not real Israel. Your land was made up in 1947 and 1948. You're not a real people. That's not a real land. That's a identity hijack, just like the Dawes Rolls, where you got most people that claim Native American. That's through the Mongol invasions. That's through all these different invasions that have been going on, and then people claiming an identity and a heritage because they want the position and place of somebody else. They want their inheritance. It's the same shit that we're talking about and all this other stuff. So that's why I would hate Esau. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to trick and seduce and manipulate people to do that. That's why they would call that sorcery, whoredoms, adultery, so on and so forth. Murder, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not kidnap. This system is known for human trafficking. It's business. Every business institution is built off of human trafficking of this entire U.S. system. That is literally U.S.-Morocco relations. Trade, prisoners of war, so on and so forth. That's how America became a mixing pot of all kinds of peoples. It was originally just copper, bone, and melanated peoples. And that's why there's so much of a flood of information and knowledge that's coming out, because this is what these Freemasons and secret societies have held for so long. You know what I'm saying? Through the Gregorian and Julian calendars, where the time misses up and stuff like that, you taught to go out of order and follow into somebody else's order. That's why it says, learn not the way of the heathen, for the customs of the people are vain. They tell you that you're pagan because you ain't following their ways, but not realizing if anybody didn't follow after those orders, they were considered their adversaries. You know what I'm saying? Then you got to deal with the human zoos, the sex farms, so on and so forth, where people are programmed through their DNA to be adulterous, because that's something that was forced on many people. And again, it came from these same people who was in so-called power. That this is the reason why there's so much injustice, because it was built off of that. So that's the only manifestation that's going to come from that. A system of death and debt. That's the only manifestation that can come from that, because that's how it was built. That's why it's built to fall. And one example in relation was mixed with iron and clay in the Nebuchadnezzar statue. The other part of that, we've already talked about that in our videos dealing with Covidia Tartaria, Baruch Associated, where you're dealing with all the mutations and nanite programs and androids, so on and so forth. But what gets me is people got phones and computer shit every fucking day and online all the fucking time, but don't got time to sit there and look at shit that's right in front of your faces. One thing that messed with me as a child is like, how do you get a picture to come through this box through all these cords on a TV? That shit never made sense. How the fuck does a picture come up through here through cords? You know what I'm saying? You plug this motherfucker in, they call electricity. You know what I'm saying? It's a motherfucking trick. That's witchcraft. Like, how the fuck you get a motherfucking picture to come through these bitches? Phone, tablet, whatever. Like, how the fuck do you project the whole ass? Where did that shit come from? through some plugging a motherfucking thing up in a wall, some little metal pieces. That shit, sometimes it's like how do you make that shit make sense? You know, you got a whole ass picture with a bunch of words and everything else. You go to all these audio programs and stuff like that to make music, mixing and master. Okay, that's one thing, but it still doesn't explain how the fuck you get these pictures and all these movies and all this shit through plugging this motherfucker up. Because when this motherfucker die, you don't see none of that shit. You don't hear none of that shit. So, you know what I'm saying? That's basically what I'm saying, is like, you gotta go beyond what you told. You know what I'm saying? And really observe something that's beyond that, and really use your experiences to help teach you and help you make sense of this stuff. Because there's evidences of things everywhere, right? Everywhere. Original Spanish people, I when I was 2, right, I got adopted at 3. That nigga was darker than me, like 2 times darker, hair jet black. So as a child, I seen like a pure-blooded Spanish person, cause I lived there for 5 fucking years. You know what I'm saying? And I still see like some of the Indian people today that they say India, this, that, and the third. I've seen some that's super light skinned, and some people might qualify as mulatto. And I've seen some people that's 2 times darker than me, and darker than the Spanish dude I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? When I was a baby. So it's like, there a lot of shit has been whitewashed, as they say. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, color washed. It's just truth that people have not wanted people to see for a long time. And that gives a power control issue. It's never been about money, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the third. It is about race, but it is about a power control issue within that, because race deals with inheritance. You know what I'm saying? Genetics is everything when it comes to many things and everything that's around us. You know what I'm saying? It's uncomfortable thing. That's why it tells you, you know what I'm saying, some things are hard sayings, and Paul tell you that. But a lot of people talk about Paul, but they don't know the truth behind the Pauline doctrines. And you know what I'm saying, every one of them people were known murderers. You know what I'm saying? Many of them were known pedophiles. Look, talking about God's Egypt, and hear the motherfucking movie pop up, targeted ads and shit. And you pay. So, you know, that it's a lot, you know what I'm saying? You can't be like, oh, the Europeans. Nigga, the original Europeans were brown skinned. The Moors were in Europe well before any pale skinned people were in Europe, bro. Where you think the Saxons, the original Russians, or sons of Rus, Roth, you know what I'm saying? That's who created Rothschild. That's who created the Jesuit order. You know what I'm saying? These people were brown skinned people. Fucking Russia got votes of bringing that shit out. So does the Vatican. Stop playing. You know what I'm saying? All them so-called Swedens and Swarthies and Swiss and all that shit. You can go to the Phoenician Hebrew alone and follow certain symbols that teach you that go all the way back into that. Yes, many people have used it, but they had to been taught. That's why you have so many different languages. And it's different forms of communications, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Even following the flags, which is a phonetic, what do they call it? A naval code. You know what I'm saying? A naval Morse code. You know what I'm saying? Just like the ABCs, that's a naval code. You know what I'm saying? You're learning the ABCs, but you don't hear A, B, D. You know what I'm saying? You don't the alphabet. You know what I'm saying? Alphabet, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at the English language and you study it, if I was to go to and be like, all right, Baruch Yahuwah, I'm gonna get back to this the false claims, Jeremiah 27 or 23:17 through 22, and Lamentations 3:37, because we're gonna go into the target individual programs that shows you artificial dreams or synthetic dreams, and voice to skull and the voice of God weapon, and the reason for these 5G COVID towers. COVID are these towers. It's literally written on that shit. But anyway, gotta say let's do that first then. And that's one of my things to talk about why just being people, because it's like, bro, just learn how to be people. Like everybody who is trying to be a god or trying to be like somebody else or trying to be rich, and you don't even know how to fucking be you. You know, every day I got something that I got to learn about myself, and I don't got time to try to be like everybody else. That shit is too much work, and it's too irritating, and then all the extra backlash that come with that shit. You try to be yourself, motherfuckers gonna have a problem with that. Why aren't you like everybody else? That's part of society. Bitch, I'm not part of society, because if I was, I wouldn't be a motherfucking outcast. You on the streets, you an outcast, long story short. Just look out the way motherfuckers look at you. How many of your friends are hanging around with you that's not homeless, right? Shut the fuck up. Alright, bet. So, voice to skull remotely transmits intelligible subjective sound to target consciousness, right? James P. O. United States Air Force, right? This was published, that was invented by him, the original assignee, published in the 22nd of October, right, in 2002, on 13th of December, dash 96, right? So symptom filing date, direct energy weapon target individual patents, right? V2K, wave type, it doesn't say on there right there, but a US 3393279. You can go and download these PDFs. Alright. I would suggest studying about the Lily wave, psionics period, because you're gonna need psionics for dealing with anything neuropathy, anything dealing with energy, chakra, frequencies, so on and so forth. You're gonna need all of that to really get a well-rounded education behind that, because they don't talk about this shit, and they're not going to talk about this shit in any, you know, schooling about teaching about electrical devices or none of that shit. They're not going to do that shit. You know, you have to go beyond that and know where to look for it in order to do that shit. Okay, so that's that one. And then you got, that's the voice to skull. And then you wonder why a lot of people be like talking to themselves. Sometimes they on drugs, sometimes they do it as a comfort thing, and sometimes, you know, that's why. You know, they got ones, and this is all part of what they call MK Ultra. This goes into everything I was talking about. Alright, so it says apparatus and method for remotely monitoring and altering a target's brain waves, central nervous system. And we know the CIA got a lot of that shit anyway. Apparatus for audibly communicating speech using the radio frequency hearing effect.
What? His whole leg's gone.
The one called the ventriloquist effect, right?
How is it gone? How did it happen?
Edward G. No, American technology makes voices emulate from individuals who do not intend or realize a ventriloquist request. You ever had them feelings or thoughts where it's like those experiences, like you woke up because you heard somebody calling your name or some shit, or you turn around because you felt like you thought you heard somebody calling your name? That's that shit. Hendricus G. Lewis remotely manipulates central nervous system in subject by applying electrical field to skin. But anyway, you can go check out a lot of these. Check it out on your own, And then you at the same time you gotta wonder, like, why you got all these different monitors, you know what I'm saying, scanners and shit like that. And if you study those things, you study the biofield, you study biometrics is not the word I'm looking for, biochemistry, so on and so forth, neurology, you see a lot of different things, you know, things that deal with heavy metals, different poisons and toxins and shit like that, hallucinogens, alterations, you know what I'm saying. This is why they had a lot of them experiments with LSD and dealing with the Russian sleep experiments and stuff like that. You know, people you listen to people's stories when they talk about they trips on acid or LSD, you know what I'm saying, or motherfucking ketamine or motherfucking coke, mushrooms, all kind of shit, you know what I'm saying, even on marijuana, you know what I'm saying. Inherently, shrooms, marijuana, LSD, like that's not bad. It's literally found in the biochemistry of nature, things in nature, you know what I'm saying. But when it's used to a point where it becomes so mind altering, where you have no self control over your own thinking or responding of things and stuff like that, and you can't operate without it, that's when it becomes a poison. That's when it becomes witchcraft, you know what I'm saying, because you don't have a cognitive response to be able to move on your own. You can't be without it. So that's why when I first started smoking and stuff like that, after a while I stopped, because I started realizing people was like, you know, they got to smoke. You angry, you know what I'm saying, until you smoke. You don't got no self-control over your emotions. You emotional wreck, you know what I'm saying. That's just your crutch. But without your crutch, you know what I'm saying, go 6 months to a year without that, you know what I'm saying, and deal with everything in life everybody gotta fucking deal with and bombarded with every fucking day, you know what I'm saying, and finding different ways to transmute your energy and replace certain habits with other habits, you know what I'm saying. And that initially will show you how much you adore yourself, how much you appreciate yourself, you know what I'm saying, and you learn your own self-worth in that, you know what I'm saying. I'll never sit there and say that weed is a drug, because it's not. It is literally all throughout nature. Whether you smoke it, whether you eat it or use it, however topically as they say, the point is, when motherfuckers get a hold on it and start putting shit into it that ain't supposed to be in it, that's when it becomes fucked up. And Elon Musk owns a lot of the motherfucking cannabis industry places, you know what I'm saying. And we know what Elon Musk does. That's why I won't fuck with a lot of shit. So if it's homegrown, I'm all good for it. Sun grown, I'm all good for it. I'm still gonna ask what kind of fertilizer you use. You don't need to use all these motherfucking artificial lights and shit. The sun is right there. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing how it's like you got a bunch of fake plants in the office, which subconsciously says you love plants, but you have a hostility towards life, because there ain't no motherfucking real plants in that shit. You destroy forests and shit to put up fake plants, and you intelligent. You went to school we got a degree in what? Stupid? How many degrees of stupid do you need? And then you brag about it to everybody, and then people are like, oh, that's an accomplishment. Yeah, to you maybe, but you don't see the reality of your ignorance and or somebody else's. You just doing that because you taught that and you seen other people doing that. You ain't doing it because you got your own mind of your own, and you know you're knowledgeable about the relations and connections to yourself to plants. You know what I'm saying? They'll look at people who love nature as pacifists, this, that, and the third. Now them people got a clarity and a knowledge that recognize, like, we're connected to nature. Nature's connected to us. When you start tearing up nature, you start tearing up yourself. That's what it represents, as far as like the temple being cleaned out. Your body. Yah does not dwell in houses built with men's hands. You know what I'm saying? He abides in your body. You fuck up your temple, your body, you gonna get fucked up. That's called justice and judgment. That's an effect of not walking in order, or being in order and keeping that command. You know what I'm saying? If Yahuwah loves you, he gonna teach you right? That's what a father do. That's what a mother should do. It's not always it's not always about a matriarch and a patriarchy thing. Motherfuckers sound crazy as hell when they be just running. I get the trauma behind it, but you gotta get past the trauma and be motivated beyond the trauma. You gotta try to be motivated by what's around you. You know what I'm saying? Look for hope in a hopeless situation. Sometimes that is hard as fuck, and I've been there. You know, and it's just only raised more questions. If anything, at times, to the point where it's like, is any of this shit, like, what is real? What are we really supposed to be fucking doing? Because a lot of this shit don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? If faith is the substance of things hoped for, yet the evidence of things not seen, like, okay, we can use the evidence of things that are seen to see that there's something clearly beyond whatever we're being told is that and the third. And I don't expect people to remember this every day, because motherfuckers distracted by goddamn near everything every day. Just like people like, you gotta pay taxes. Nigga, you pay taxes with your life every day. You pay taxes with food. That's $3.69 plus tax, or that's $3.59 plus or before tax. How much is the tax? And be like, wait for one motherfucking day of the year or time of the year talking about I gotta go pay taxes. Bitch, you pay taxes every day. Shut the fuck up. And what you getting back is like a penny to $10, and they know that. But if you don't study the IRS and everything that's connected to that shit, District of Columbia, so on and so forth, foreign relation agencies, you won't know that shit. You definitely gonna hear that shit, have to hear that shit from people who's in that shit. For example, in a court of law, you need the amount of evidences. I don't forget what the fuck they trying to say, but fuck that shit. I ain't trying to do all that. Her name is Chelsea B. Baruch Associated B. CHELSIEB. Okay, ex-IRS agent. Right. You can find that. Well, just type in ex-IRS agent exposes, and it'll come up. Brown skinned lady, look like she holding some papers, right? There's one that's 6 minutes and 14 seconds, and there's one that's 10 minutes.
Success there. She was doing very well. I've received Sherry Peel Jackson. She is an ex-IRS agent, CPA, fraud examiner. She was working for the IRS. She was on the fast track to success there. She was doing very well, had received numerous awards for all of the work she did, and she realized that there is no law and that the biggest fraud was the IRS.
I tried to be the best at whatever I did, so when I got
So you can go ahead and check that out. You know what I'm saying? Just like people be like, the devil got his agents out there, y'all got his agents everywhere too. And exposing the system is key, because if you don't know what the fuck you working for, why the fuck you working there? Oh, because it pays $28 an hour. Nigga, fuck your $28 an hour, nigga. I'm on my own land, my homeland. I got water. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got my whole family. What good is being rich if you ain't got family? All them hoe ass niggas always crying out for family and to go back to where they used to came from. Which shows it ain't all that what they projected to be. People go to a TV screen, but you'll never find them motherfucking rich peoples in the hood. You'll never find them there. If they go to the hood, they doing a show. They doing some shit to gather money. They ain't never coming up to fix up all your houses in the hood. They ain't never trying to come up and really expose that shit. If they ain't doing that shit, they fake as fuck, bro. I don't trust nobody like that. You ain't exposing that dumb shit, you just like them. And we don't need no more generations of children growing up just being arrogant and stupid because they taught to. And if you don't, then you get ostracized or hated for it, because you're not like everybody else. You're not supposed to be like everybody else. That's why you. Again, if you can't be you can't be nobody. You can't be real with yourself. How you gonna be real with the Most High? Right. Meantime, you waiting for somebody to come back and save you. That ain't gonna come back and save you, because you don't realize it's a whole system of something that came from somebody who hated the Most High. But if you don't study the ancient paths like he literally fucking tells you, you're not gonna know. People be talking about, oh, God said this, the Lord said this. There's a whole bunch of motherfuckers who be doing that shit. You know why? Because that shit started with them. This system started with our people. That's why I'm telling you and exposing those people who were once our people. They came out from among us, but they're not of us. Their fathers have inherited lies. You see what I'm saying? That shit goes into perspective and puzzle alignment when it's put in the right order. You know, in order for the whole world to turn back to the Most High, His people have to turn back to the Most High, because that's how you get their adversaries serving Israel. They will serve us. This is prophecy. They will serve us. This Hebrew Israelite movement that they got going on nowadays is full of shit too, because y'all can use a lot of the knowledge, but the way that y'all blatantly condemning people, oh, you a female walking in some pants, y'all want to call her a whore, this, that, and the third. It's like, nigga, how many female you walked around or been around in your life before you was ever in the Hebrew Israelite movement of women that walked and had pants on? Was you condemning them to death then? Right, you sound retarded. And they all sound the fucking same. Their whole vernacular speech pattern, frequency, it all sounded Jeremiah chapter 28. Like, nigga, nobody want to hear that shit. I've had people come up and tell me, because I got an unk on, you know what I'm saying, you're practicing that Kemet shit, you're gonna go to hell. Like, nigga, first of all, everything that you said was straight confusion. One of the Jibola represents the underworld, which is one of the names of America. That's where they get the terminology of hell. You can't send me back home when I'm already home, you dumb bitch. I'm already here. I can go to different parts of my home, but come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. And then you gotta deal with the entity called Helion. You know what I'm saying? Like it's people, you don't even know what the fuck you're saying, and you're so proud. That's why I left these religions alone, because pride is the main motherfucker that Islam and Christianity and the Hebrew Israelite community deals with. Pride. That shit is fucking crazy. If you knew that your land was the original Kamat, nigga, even in accordance with the laws of Ma'at, common law, tribal law, you would get in position and shut the fuck up and actually learn some shit. Not even that, just the other anatomical relations, and anatomy relations, you know what I'm saying, and cosmological relations and celestial relations, to the Ankh as well. You know what I'm saying? And then y'all talking about, well, that's X, well, that's a cross, well, that's Ankh. It's all the same fucking thing. You just too ignorant to see that shit. You know? And there's motherfuckers who know that shit every day and weaponize and oppose to you to get you to turn on your brothers and something like that, to infiltrate you. You know what I'm saying? To hijack what you got or steal what you got. And that's all Hollywood does. And most people don't know. Those who do know and are learning and coming out with that, the Hollywood was created by the CIA. You know what I'm saying? So if you knew that all the motherfuckers that's in that industry are CIA agents, why you think Donald Trump be like, well, we got the best military in the whole world? Well, not really, kind of. Tactically, fucking brilliant. But on every other level, dumbest, stupidest mistake ever. Not even mistake, that's just the stupidest thing ever. Because, like, y'all niggas end up with nothing, and y'all know that shit. You kill what you fear because you can't control it. That means you have a really fucked up mentality. You have so much trauma, but you're not willing to do the work to face that trauma and get beyond that trauma. That makes you a weak motherfucker, period. Somebody goes and just guns somebody down, you weak as hell. That's not strength. That shows how weak you are. It shows that you got troubles inside. You need to be healed. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't gonna heal sticking around the same motherfuckers who do that shit. You know? And motherfuckers be swearing that they're different. You're not different. You still like them. You may not do the same shit, but you still around them motherfuckers. To do different, you gotta be different. You gotta get around different. That's the difference. That's how that shit makes sense when this shit don't make sense. Makes sense? So, this is what I call the study of awareness, situational awareness, you know what I'm saying, of your environment. That's basic security. You know what I'm saying? How can you practice security and you don't know how to motherfucking secure yourself, let alone your house? It's different. Somebody kind of trying to force and take stuff, take your family, whatever. That's kidnapping. that's a whole different ball game. You know what I'm saying? But having a bunch of knowledge is only so much, you know. You gotta help people. You show compassion to people. You know what I'm saying? It's not always about proving who's right, who's wrong. Like, part of it, you just gotta be people, bro. I sit with all kinds of people, no matter what color they are. You know what I'm saying? The background and stuff like that. I've gained a lot of knowledge from the streets, from people who's fiends and shit. You know what I'm saying? Or done shit on the streets and stuff like that. Even though I don't do that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's helped me be able to survive. Baruch. You know what I'm saying? That's helped me survive. That's helped me live. It's helped me grow. You know what I'm saying? It's helped me in a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? I always say that. You know what I'm saying? I don't hate white people. I'll never fuck with them. It's like, you know what I'm saying, having children with them and get married to them. Fuck that shit. I already got my woman anyway. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like, I got people who's pale skinned and they friends. You know what I'm saying? Or associates. But they've earned that. And some of them became family. But they seek the Most High God. That's a difference. You know what I'm saying? That's a difference. Even though they will serve us. You know what I'm saying? That's my portion for them to be my servants. Because I'm not going to treat them like what people think slavery is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, you got to know that this is the order. Y'all chose us first. That's just how it is. That's his choice. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck can I do about that? Nothing. That's his choice. You know what I'm saying? But that's his choice of how he designed things. We don't have any say so over that. You know what I'm saying? Yahuwah. And I don't want to. I just want Yahuwah to have his way. Yet at the same time, I want people that are supposed to know and learn to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying?
After the IRS, I hit the ground running. My first year in 1988, I got the Fraud Award. It's a big Shaped in Georgia award for fraud. But I got numerous awards, and my biggest one is from the IRS commissioner himself. Back in 1995, it was Fred T. Goldberg. One of the things that I wanted to tip you off on as far as what the IRS does, before I get into the story, they had, I don't know what they're doing now, but they had what's called the Market Segment Specialization Program, or MSSP. They would take different market segments, like ministers, and try to figure out how much money you were underreporting.
Again, that's all that power and control issue. Shit, you know what I'm saying?
Consumers are on the move.
Niggas got a problem
and it's your job to keep up. What if your curiosity
with this, or got a problem with that? Because they can't control shit. That's why I'm like, you know what I'm saying? The money system, the monetary system is about monitoring, observation, right? Ayin. Literally, the revelation, ayin, you know what I'm saying? Taking from things that were supposed to be in a righteous order, and they perverted it. You know what I'm saying?
There's a real overwhelming sense.
Don't even want to hear that shit. Fucking mega churches and shit. Freemasons run all that goddamn bullshit. And all they doing is stealing. Your tithe is the fruit of your ground. I'm telling you. Oh, you're making that shit up. Fuck you. I ain't making shit up. I would like to actually read that out loud, yeah. Broken keep. What the fuck did I just literally just say? Okay, thank you, yeah. Tithing is the fruit of your ground. Returning a tenth of the agricultural produce, Baruch, livestock, and first fruits to Yah to support the Levites and temple in ancient Israel. This is the original tax system. The original tax system. Alright, now when you look at the noble royal priesthood, the nobles, the priests, who are also the shamans, the healers, the Ahmun, right? The Amun Ra, the healers of light, you know what I'm saying? the ones who deliver people from diseases and deities and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Original what they call exorcists and shit, not actually put motherfucking demons and shit on people. Malachi 3:10, right? And going through, this is the tithe, right? This is literally, Joseph literally showed you that. Joseph was literally bringing in, having people, a whole system. What's going on?
Oh, I'm trying to pay rent. On a snow day.
Paying rent on a snow day. You know, Joseph literally was involved in bringing in a whole world of people to paying tithe to the Most High Yah. All that grain, all the corn. Come on, bro. Baruch Yahuwah. That's deep. Leviticus 27:30 states that the tenth of the land's produce, grain, fruit, livestock is holy to the Most High Yah and represents the return of His provision.
You don't wear nothing like this?
Mexicans got third boots on.
Yeah, boy. They got them lined up over here.
Man.
Like they're in the rodeo. Oh, I can't wait to get back so I can roast it.
That shit funny.
Yeah, about to roast his ass and get it.
Relations to this talks about fruit of the ground defined as represents increase from one's labor, which is in agrarian society meant crops, livestock. In modern context is often translated to financial income, the fruit of one's work. They switched that. The promise of protection, Malachi 3:10, 11 links bringing the tithe into the storehouse with Yah opening Shamaim windows and rebuking those devourers, right? The Illuminati, protecting one's produce, income from loss. Fruits versus tithe, while sometimes used interchangeably. You know what I'm saying? So, in summary, the principle emphasizes stewardship, obedience, and trusting Yah as the source of all resources, ensuring the fruit of your labor is protected and your family, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So, in other words, it's like going into business, if you will. Mind your business. So, that's where I put that up there, so you kind of like hear that little piece for yourself and stuff like that. Another one where they talk about Ananias and stuff like that, or I think it was Ananias or whatever, and they hid the tithe and stuff like that. And I ain't gonna lie, being from different times experiencing homelessness, I've learned and I've seen that they do that more, whether they know it or not. You know what I'm saying, or conscious of it or not. They do this every day, all day, more than people in the church do, or in a synagogue. You know what I'm saying? Whether they know it or not, and most often it's used as a way of survival. You know what I'm saying? But it's really just, it's an interesting thing to see when you sit and observe that at times. You know what I'm saying? Ruth 11:21-25 is another example, right? And going in, you can read that stuff like that too. So yeah, it's many things to look at that right there, man. You know, and they know that. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got all these people sitting there. You gotta offer this burnt sacrifice, and then it tells you what the priest did, incense and so on and so forth. This stuff, you know what I'm saying, healing the people. You know what I'm saying? And the tithe was people bringing that to the priests. You know what I'm saying? For their service to the Most High. So if you're talking about a noble royal priesthood, or a kingdom of priests, a king priests and stuff, so on and so forth, that's the same way that the Mayan government operates. You know what I'm saying? There's things that was considered sacred that other people couldn't have or couldn't be part of, and that's one reason why they use that same model, but in the wrong way of closing you off from being able to get to your pyramids or your sacred sites or into the domes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Going to certain waters that are not poisoned with motherfucking heavy metals and aerosols and motherfucking fluoride and shit, among everything else, the sewage waste and body pieces and shit, and trash. You know, so I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Deal with it as you do. Cloud out.